The Sing, Spell, Read, Write kindergarten curriculum contains 2 workbooks, All Aboard, which focuses on the letters, and On Track. Now, at the beginning of the second workbook, you can find this track. I'm not sure why they didn't put it in the first workbook since you use it for both. So when you purchase these, make sure that you take a look at the second workbook and take out the track. So the All Aboard workbook focuses on the alphabet and some other skills as they go along as well. So we begin with some visual discrimination and colors and patterns and what's alike, what's different, classification. There's some patterns there and shapes. That covers a review a little bit of the preschool curriculum, and you can check out my video for the preschool curriculum as well. Then they start doing the alphabet letters, and for each alphabet letter they'll have the first page that can be colored in. You'll say apple, and it also shows how the student will often see the letter written in a book. So this little a we often see in books, but a lot of times we forget to teach it to them that they're going to read it that way and not necessarily like this A. At the bottom of the pages, it also tells you how to introduce this topic, what to say to the child. Then they either have a visual discrimination activity or an auditory discrimination activity. So for this one, it's visual. They have to figure out which picture is different in each row. Then they teach them how to write each of the letters, big A and little a, and again, description is at the bottom. And you practice both at the last line on that page. Then they have a cut and paste activity. With my children, I just had them use expo markers and circle and use X's, but ideally they can cut it out, and then they would paste it onto the 4 pictures that have that beginning sound onto this page, and then on the back they would draw a picture or cut one out of a magazine that starts the pictures that start with that sound. Then you go on to the next sound, ball. We have a visual discrimination activity here. Later on they do more of the auditory, and again we practice writing, and it's important to read how they're teaching to write. For example, for B, she has you start at the top and come down and bounce around. So it's all kind of one movement in a sense, because you're not lifting your pencil. When she does D, she has you write a C and then do a separate line starting at the top to come down for the line for the D. So you'll see that it's repetitious as far as the pattern. It makes a pattern of how they do things. So we start auditory discrimination here with C. There are a few visual tucked in later on. So that's the basic pattern for this book. I do like the book. One thing I would change personally is when you're teaching them the letter and the sound that it makes, and then you jump to a review activity, it kind of throws a curveball in a sense. I think that this would be better as the last page. So teach them the letter, have them write the letter, do activities with the letter, and then when they're done specifically with that letter, do a review page that brings in the old letters and the old sounds that they've already learned. So that's just my opinion. So here we have J pages. This one they're doing rhyming words. So again, you're teaching a sound and then you're jumping to rhyming and then jumping back to the letter, which is not my preference personally. But you can arrange the book however you want and switch it around a little if you want to. So this is the gist of the first workbook. They also have the phonics cards for the song. You cut out the pictures, and they have to match them up with the letter that they go to. Now this goes along with the phonics song that they do, which comes on this placemat, and it's sung on the CD or the cassette tapes, depending on which one you want to use, which works for you. So they have to match those up. You can introduce that song whenever you feel comfortable. I think at the beginning is a good idea, get them used to it, and then as they go, they're learning to write the letters, since they will already know the sounds. So now later on, now they're writing the beginning sounds for these words instead of just seeing them or matching them. So it gets a little bit more difficult as they go along, which makes sense. It's appropriate. Sometimes they're looking for things in the picture that start with that sound. That is basically what the first workbook is about. Now at the end of the workbook, on the back, you will have a writing slate. It is not this one. This one is the back of the On Track book. I can't find the other one. The other one has the alphabet written out, and so they can trace their letters. It does recommend a pace in this book. For the first book, how fast to do the first book, you'll see here. A to F, 1 letter of the alphabet per week, and then G to Z, 2 letters of the alphabet per week. And they do not have a pace written down for this second section here. I like to work at my own pace personally. On Track is the second workbook in the kindergarten curriculum for Sing, Spell, Read, Write. The first page you'll find in the workbook will be the track that you use for the entire kindergarten program. So it's important to use this page from the beginning. The On Track book will actually coincide with the first 15 steps of the level 1 program. So it covers similar information. So if you have a child in the level 1 program and a child in the kindergarten program, they're kind of working alongside each other. They can during those first 15 steps. And so you have that track first that you follow along. You have the alphabet song, which you can also find on the placemat that you get with the set, if you have a placemat. And they practice some writing. They do the alphabet echo song. There's some matching with letter sounds. And then they start focusing on the vowel sounds. So they have a new song that they learn with just the short vowel sounds. And then they have the Ferris wheel sound, or the Ferris wheel song, excuse me. And you'll cut out these yellow tabs and you'll hold them up next to it. So for BA it would be ba, ba, bi, ba, 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 bi, ba, ba. And you'll hear that with the song. It goes with a tune. And then you'll continue through these. And if you have the CD, it works really well to help you understand that. Then they begin focusing on these short vowel sounds. So they start here with keeping the beginning the same. So ra for each of these. And they'll put the letters, we'll cut these out, and they'll put them onto here and match them up. So if they put the T up here, rat, they'd match it with the rat. Then they'd trace some words. I have my children also sound it out, and then they draw a picture of it. And now here, they don't have the same consonant at the beginning, the same sound at the beginning, but the vowel sound is the same. So we're still focusing on a, bat, cat, sat, fat, hat. And you can cut a line through here, cut these 2 lines, and slide this up and down to make a little manipulative for them. Again, then we learn our next short vowel sound, and we have the beginning sound the same. Wah, wah, wah. It looks weird because it looks like we should be saying we, but it's not. Wah, 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 wah. And I think it's important to kind of look at these pictures because it took me a second to figure out that that meant wed. So your child may need some help sometimes with the pictures. And this is the pattern you will see for the vowel sounds. They do their little manipulative. So we get through those. There's you. And you'll notice too that it will tell you a whistle stop at the bottom. The whistle stop is what they call it for the kindergarten level. So you're just following along with the steps from the level 1, the first grade level. So this would be whistle stop 5, so it's step 5 in the level 1. So ka, va, ra, ha, and then they have to match up the words correctly. They do begin to introduce blends. Gl is a blend because it has 2 sounds, but their sound, you say them together. Fl, there's a f and a l, and they're sounded together, so that's a blend. They do add a few sight words in as well as they go, so their vocabulary list here, but they practice pronouncing. If a letter's crossed off, you do not hear it. Usually an E on the end of the word will make the vowel sound long, which they'll learn in level 1 later on, but not in this level, not this word. This word does not have a long vowel sound. It has a short vowel sound, so that's why they're teaching it to them then. And then they get a little storybook reader in their workbook, and they read through it out loud. You help them out. And then they read the sentence and match the sentence with the picture from what happened in the story. So there's a front and a back to that. And they have another storybook reader, some more sentences. And then they get their actual book to read. So they read through this book, and then they have some comprehension worksheets for that. So for this one, they sequence the story. They draw a picture of their favorite character from it. They complete the sentence by writing one of the words from the word bank. You do the same thing for I and O and U. So it's very pattern oriented, so you get used to what's going on. So the storybooks that you have Ed the Pal for the E, Miss Fix and the Class, The Hot Trip, Russ and the Gift, and then you end with Mr. Fox. And then the last page that you find in your book, in your workbook, is just a comprehension matching of different things from your last storybook that you read. So that is the base. Those are the basics for the workbook for the second workbook, On Track. It does end with this page where they can practice writing vocabulary words or letters or whatever you'd like to have them write. It is a wipe-off board, so they can use that. Also, that comes with the kindergarten and level 1 combined pack. You have the A to Z Sound O game, which you cut out these little cards. And one side of their bingo board has the lowercase and one side has the uppercase. So they can practice both. So I would say rail, they'd have to find the rail, and they'd put their little chip. I put them in this little container. They put their chip on there and you just play bingo. There's a second game that would work for kindergarten level, and that is the A to Z Pick a Sound. It is basically the same as Go Fish, but it's with letter cards instead of number cards that you would play Go Fish with. So that's another game that they play. You know, you can make up your own if you didn't have the cards, if you lost the cards or whatever. So that's another game that you can play with it. Other games come with the kindergarten and level 1 kit. However, they are not, as far as I can tell, they are from further steps in the program. So the level 1 steps. So I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you found it helpful and you liked it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me.